Do you consider yourself to be an individualist or a conformist?
I see myself as an individualist.
An individualist.
Individualist, mostly.
Individual. I consider myself an individualist. I consider myself an individualist because conforming is boring.
As members of a so-called free-thinking society, we tend to believe that we are individualistic. We make our own decisions, like the style of clothes we wear and the teams we support. It is always considered a good characteristic to be unique. Despite this perceived truth, we tend to conform a lot more than we wish to think. When we take a look at the motives of conformity culture, it comes down to a simple fact that conformity is a natural part of society and how humans function. Though the aspects of conformity can be very complex in its workings through society, it can be broken down to very simple impulses and electrical signals within the brain. When someone has to make a decision, the certainty of their decision is directly related with the intensity of brain cell activity in the parietal lobe. Along with this, the frontal lobe plays an instrumental role in determining a specific course of action because it is the main center for planning, reasoning, and making both abstract and concrete decisions in the brain.
Structures, like the core structures, don't tend to change very much. Connections change and strengthen. So if the brain, in general, if certain decisions bring about good outcomes, you'll tend to make those decisions more often because the reward pathways in the brain get activated.
So because of the fact that humans are changing on a regular basis, and human brain is changing even as adults, we know that today. And I think the outside experiences really influence how humans work and how they keep changing, they keep evolving. So the outside experiences definitely affect the neural pathways.
This process was tested in the set of experiments run by Solomon Asch. Solomon Asch carried out a controlled experiment to test the impact of social pressure on an individual. Asch's experiment involved various sized groups of Confederates, or people who are part of the experiment posing as subjects, and 1 or 2 real subjects. The subjects were asked to look at a set of 3 lines and match one of them to the line on the left. The Confederates were asked to give blatantly wrong answers to see if the actual subjects would do the same. We reran this experiment ourselves to see if the experiment was still valid. In our experiment, these were the Confederates. And these were the subjects.
C.
B. C.
We found that 2 out of the 4 subjects that we tested conformed and gave the wrong answer at least once.
There were definitely a few times where I had my own decision and then I heard everyone say something different and I was like, oh no, maybe I should go with theirs. But then sometimes I was more sure and I stuck with mine.
Even if they said it wrong, I would still say mine, but it definitely was reassuring when they said the one I was thinking about. It made me more confident to say it. But it definitely made me feel like I was wrong.
While the Asch experiment shows conformity to a lesser degree, it can still help explain modern issues with societal pressure. However, the consequences of this experiment are little to none when compared to real-world examples. As many know, conformity has caused some of the worst tragedies in the world. A very well-known example is Nazi Germany, in which German citizens turned a blind eye to their Jewish neighbors simply because it was what society expected of them. Similarly, extreme cases of societal pressure to conform were present in the US during World War II. The infamous Executive Order 9066 was enacted after the Pearl Harbor bombings to sequester people of Japanese heritage. US citizens did nothing to help these innocent Americans for the sole reason being that nobody else was standing up for them. Clearly, societal conventionalities have always been a part of history. Looking back at all of these tragedies amplified by a conforming culture, we are convinced that we have learned our lesson and that something like it will never happen again. But this is a very naive mindset when we simply take a look at our culture today. In recent politics, we have seen an incredible divide in our political spectrum. This is a direct result of conformity within states to adhere to the widespread political agenda. You are expected to share the same political beliefs as those around you. So, if most of your community is made up of one political party, you are more inclined to follow their beliefs.
right? It's the polarization is essentially conformity. You know, you're either with us or you're against us.
Even in contemporary lifestyle, we lose ourselves in the latest trends and expectations. At some point in our lives, we all submit to what's popular at the moment. In middle school, everyone wore silly bands. Today, everyone uses Snapchat, Instagram, and multiple other social medias. It is not necessarily a bad thing, but all these small, inconsequential instances of conformity multiply and could possibly lead to a negative impact on society.
In terms of being conformist, I don't say that I would be completely conformist, but at the same time, I don't think that I'm quite ready to, break through the walls of society to completely carve my own path.
We think that some degree of conformity is necessary because conformity helps predictability.
It helps a society function, and that I think is the positive aspect of conformity. The negative aspect is changes take a longer time to happen because of conformity.
Should we continue to behave like this without realizing what we are doing, it might be too late to make an independent decision when it truly matters. The stories we hear in history class of the Holocaust and Japanese internment camps show the implications of blindly following the mob mentality. It is our job as citizens of society to make sure that though we conform in certain cases, we do not let it permeate every single aspect of our lives. This way, society still functions with people following the set rules, but individualism is still valued.